parents, you did mention that there seems to be a knowledge gap in terms, especially to the younger ones who are probably born with AIDS 10 to 14, 15, 16, and they've grown up with that. Is that because the parents possibly are also not well informed to pass on the information to the children?
I think it's not because the parents are not well informed per se. It's difficult to have that conversation.
From what perspective? Taboo?
From the parent perspective. I think we have come off this, stigmatized and understanding of HIV being this evil disease that is gotten out of evil behavior. And so as a parent, admitting to your child that you're HIV positive, then it means you're admitting to having done something wrong in the first place, and fearing the fact that then you pass the virus to them, and so they are going to blame you at some point. So for many parents, that disclosure is a very, very difficult process. Part of it, from my perspective, I would understand. I'm a parent myself, and it was a difficult journey to actually tell my own son about my HIV status.
How did you go about it? Because one thing we'd like to do is also help those parents who are struggling.
Okay, for me, it was a series of funny things happening at the same time. I was confronted.
By your son?
Yes, but if he hadn't confronted me, probably, okay, but because of my work. But I think he had a discussion somewhere in school or something, and he came and and he was like, does everybody who work in your field have HIV? So I said, no. Do you have HIV? So, and he was just 8 at the time. So I had to quickly weigh between saying no and then say yes later. 2-3 years later, or just start to deal with it, at this point. So I quickly had to sit down and explain a few things to him. Yes, I do have it. And then, of course, he'd had a lot of things, I think, from the media. People get it out of sleeping with each other. And at that time, he was young enough to crawl into my bed during the weekends. So does it mean I will get it too because I come to your bed? So we had to discuss a lot of things at that early age. But at that level, appropriately for his age, he was just 8.
Understand.
Yeah, what he can be able to understand. And then, moving from that discussion, I began to see a lot of differences between what I was telling him and what he was learning from school. Because in the evening, he would come home and say, but you see, the teacher said this, because that is what is on the syllabus. The teacher said AIDS kills.
Right.
How come you're not dead? And I'm like, okay, it's like this, it's like this. So, I keep correcting. So we got to this understanding where there's this in the syllabus, but this is the truth. So if you want to know the truth around this topic, you talk to me. Of course, at that time, the questions were a bit more close, even on the streets as we were walking, because but now we don't have the questions because it's part and parcel of his life.
How old is he now?
15.
He's 15. So,
yes.
So over time, you've managed to get that information out.
Yeah, but I like going back to your earlier question. So many parents who have children who are actually HIV positive, it becomes very, very difficult for the parent. But what we are saying is, as difficult as it is easier. Because when in our interactions, and I know Doctor will agree with me, in our interactions with the adolescents themselves, some of them act out when they actually find out in their teens, because they feel betrayed, they feel lied to, and they have a lot of experiences that they share. So children, I think, are resilient, and if things are explained to them, then they're able to understand. These deaths that she's talking about, that we are talking about, need not happen, but most of the time they happen because in their acting out, they stop taking medication. And that medication is what they need to prolong their lives.
Okay, Dr.